What is up, math superstars? This is Mr. Peterson coming to you from the Math Cave. So in this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, we're going to be reviewing addition and subtraction of integers. So for the first part, we're going to deal with just simply addition of integers. We will provide some examples on how to do this. Our first example is something that you probably learned way back in kindergarten. So here we have the expression 4 plus 2. And so we know how to do that really simply in our heads. 4 plus 2 is 6. But here's how we came about that. So we use the old school counter method. So if we have 4 and we add 2, so what we're doing is we're taking 4 positive counters, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're adding 2 more positive, and all we do is just count these counters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It gives us positive 6. So now we're going to take a look at how do we add a positive integer to a negative integer. So here's our example. So we have 4 plus a negative 2. And so all we are going to do is use our counters. And so I'm going to rewrite this nice and big for everybody. 4 plus negative 2. So we can go ahead, we have 4 positive counters. And now we're going to have 2 negative counters. And the way we add this up, we now officially made a 2 0 pairs. So when we talk about 0 pairs, it's a positive and negative equals 0. So we have 1 0 and 2 zeros. So we already know that those cancel each other out. And we are left with right here, 2 positives. So we are left with 1 and 2. So 4 plus a negative 2 is just equal to 2. Let's go ahead and try this problem. Negative 4 plus negative 2. And so all we're going to use our counters. And so we have negative 4. So we have negative 4 counters here. And then we have negative 2 counters. So we use our negative counters. And very simply, we're just going to count up the negative counters here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're left with 6 negative counters. So when we write our answer here, we can make sure to put negative, and then what we counted is negative 6. So in the second part now, we're going to take a look at subtraction of integers. So here's our first example to get our minds going with subtraction. So I gave you this equation, 3 minus 2 equals, and everybody said together the answer is 1. And so when we figured out our counters, we have 3 positive counters. And the subtraction sign, what that is telling us is that we need to take away 2 positive counters. And so when we take away 2 positive counters, so let's take away this one, and we'll take away this one, we are left with 1 positive counter. So let's take a look at this problem. So we have 3 minus negative 2. And so we have 3 positive counters, 1, 2, and 3. And the subtraction sign is telling us that we need to take away 2 negative counters. And so when we look over here where we have 3 positive counters, we have no negative counters to take away. So but what we can do is we can add some 0 pairs to this number 3 here. And so by adding 0 pairs, it doesn't change 3. We're just doing 3 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0. We can go on forever and ever and ever because we know 3 plus, or any number plus 0 is just that number. So let's go ahead and add some 0 pairs here. So we're going to add a positive and a negative, and we're going to add a second positive and a negative. And what you can see here now in our problem here, 3 minus negative 2, we need to take away negative 2 counters now. And so because we added 2 0 pairs, we now have 2 negative counters. So we can go ahead and take those away. Take those away there. And then we need to count what we're left. So we're left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're left with positive 5 counters, and that's going to be our answer. So with the algorithm to check this, we know that our algorithm for subtraction is adding the opposite. And what that means is we change our subtraction sign to addition, and the second integer, we change that to the opposite. So the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. We can already see right now, because of our algorithm, to check our model, we're left with 3 plus a positive 2 gives us 5. So let's go ahead and take a look at this problem. So we have negative 3 minus negative 2 equals. And so let's go ahead and draw out our model here. So we have 3 negative counters, 1, 2, and 3. In subtraction, very simply, we take away negative 2. And so for this problem, we already have some negatives here. So let's go ahead and take away 2 negative counters. Let's take away that one, and we'll take away that one. So what are we left with? We're left with 1 negative counter. And so our answer here is negative 1. And we can check this with an algorithm. Our algorithm simply is adding the opposite. So we change subtraction to addition. And the second integer, we change that to the opposite. So the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. So now we simply have an addition problem. So we say negative 3 plus a positive 2 gives us negative 1, and that's our check.